Welcome back, guys, to another episode of The Breakthrough, and we have the gorgeous goddess Andrea Nicholas with us today, who is a sacred sexuality guide and embodiment coach. And you're here to tell us...
Well, we're going to dive into a whole variety of topics, really deep into femininity, embodiment, essence, turn-on, relationships, and a full spectrum of things in between.
Yeah. Give us a little bit about your areas of expertise and what you enjoy and what you like to work with and call yourself.
Sure, yeah. So it's funny, we were talking earlier about people who have a million different titles, and I'm certainly one of them. Yes. So basically, I call myself an embodiment coach. So I support women in really coming back into their bodies, their essence, and their womanhood, recultivating that femininity that's been lost. And then there's another element of sacred sexuality. So that's like really, moving through the traumas, moving through the programming to calibrate a sense of orgasmicness in the body. So not just like in the pleasure practice, although that's a huge part of it, but also when we're just being, like how do we distill down and take the orgasmicness out of life itself so that all of it...
In all situations.
Yes, exactly. Like finding it in the mundane moments, in the simple moments, being willing to feel that. And then beyond that, I also am an activator of voices. So I support people in really coming into their essence, opening up their throat, finding their version of authentic expression. So all of those weave together. And initially I had them all separately. So I had all of that. And then on top of that, I also, create music. So I had all of these different tenets that were totally separate. But what I kept seeing was that when women, because it's predominantly women who I draw into my field, would come to me, everything was interwoven. And so, for instance, if a woman was coming to me because of a blockage or something that was in her expression, almost always that meant that there was something happening in her womb, in her yoni. Like there was a blockage that was happening there, and vice versa. If someone's blocked in their sexuality, typically something's blocked in their expression. So naturally it all started interweaving and merging, and so that's how I got to be where I am now. So I have all these titles, but really when someone comes to me, we work with many different modalities.
How do you identify a sexual blockage?
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I think people might not know that they're in one.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna sit with this one for a minute.
Okay. That was my big question for you, so.
You've got the question. I mean, there are so many ways that we go about identifying a sexual blockage. Like there's one, you can tune into the energy in the body. Like you can literally feel if there's a blockage that's happening somewhere. Like for instance, one practice is like if you press down here and it constricts the blood flow, and you let it go, if there's like a release, you can actually start feeling the energy flow through a lot more. And that you can start to identify like, oh, actually this is what it feels like when something's been blocked and it's been released. So often though, another great way is for, people like, we'll just say men or people who have lingams, penises, if you're not like having regular erections, if that's not something that's easily happened, then there's a chance that there's a sexual blockage for women. If your body is struggling to open, if you're not being receptive to penetration from yourself or a partner, and if they're like experiencing this pain, it's often just the emotional blockage that's occurring. And so I have a course going right now at the Orgasmic Activation Salon, and some of my women in it are talking about this thing that's called vaginismus. And so it's this concept basically in the medical world, which is you are experiencing pain, but there's no real reason for the pain. And they try and treat it with like different medications and things like that, when instead often
an emotional
blockage, an emotional blockage. I mean, we can go so deep into that, but noticing those symptoms, like is your body becoming aroused in a way that means it's free flowing? Are you getting wet easily? Are you getting hard easily? Are you receptive and open, with ease when it's with someone that you trust or with yourself? Noticing those things, those blockages, and also your sex drive, that desire, that cultivation, not just for others, but for yourself as well. So one of the other ways that we can tell if the sexual energy is moving freely through the body is our level of turn on and life itself. So not just when we're in like the bedroom, when it's hot, when you're being aroused by another person or by some visual stimulus that you're choosing, but if you can feel turned on and that arousal, that energy flowing and circulating as you're moving through life, for women, this is also
The sexual, you mean
Yeah.
even just
The
like that
arousal.
arousal
yes,
feeling?
yeah, like this like arousal aspect.
Yeah.
So for women, a way that manifests and looks for us is our radiance. So when we go out into the world, when we're in a place that we're turned on for life itself, and that does not mean that we're putting sexual energy towards other people or making it that we're receiving it. It
Yeah.
just is this energetic of a woman who is alive and full of life and energy and sensuality and sexuality, and it's respected. Like it's not misconstrued when it comes from that pure space, but it's that radiance factor of a woman that isn't dependent on how she looks or her age or anything in between.
Or the
Like a
man
lust
or
for
whoever
life.
is-
Exactly.
just
Yeah. It's like this embodied essence of this turn on and being willing to go there.
So from someone that's very confident in, I know you're human and you have your days and your moments, but for someone that's clearly shining and exuberating just sexuality, sensuality, confidence, everything, do you experience comparisons to other women and jealousy in a relationship?
Yes, looking at this jealousy piece, I mean, it's something that most of us have encountered, if not now, at least at some point in our life. And yes, of course I have. Of course, I still do. And again, like I've learned how to navigate it in different ways. So basically, what the key foundation is that I call myself home to always, whenever this comparison comes up, whether it's in relationship to someone else or like in business with someone else who does something similar, is the recognition that our radiance doesn't diminish someone else's, and likewise their radiance doesn't diminish or take away from us. And when we get into that comparison, that jealousy, that actually dims our own light. It makes us less radiant.
Yes.
So that's like ironic thing that happens.
Then you do go even, you
Yes,
know, you
then
do
like,
go
then
smaller.
like we're in,
And the other one is shining more than you because you're just like stuck in a
And
corner.
now you're
only-
allowing-
and only because we went into that judgment story, not
Yes.
because anything about us innately could actually take anything away. It's a choice of how we are desiring or choosing to show up into the world. And then also recognizing that we're on the same team. Like, you know, like you're my sister, like you're my sister, like we are here for the same reason, for the same purpose on this planet. Sometimes it's more obvious than others, but recognizing that, like I'm working with this person. And then also recognizing that the parts that we judge about that other person are probably parts that we are judging about ourselves and not accepting about ourselves. So if we're looking at her thinking like, oh, she tries too hard or she's so done up, where are we disassociating with ourselves, that desire to pour into ourselves, to really like nurture and caretake and like be radiant in that way? If we're judging her sexuality, it's like, okay, so where am I shutting down my sexuality?
And what if on the flip side of it, we're not judging and we're just like in awe or like, wow, she's so intelligent, she's so free.
Then
I'm jealous of that. I want that.
okay, so
Yeah.
so that's a huge piece too. I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because jealousy often is indicating us to something either that we are disowning within ourselves or something that we are meant to be embodying that we're choosing not to, or we're not ready yet. So using that as a great barometer. So if you're like, oh, wow, I'm in awe, this is amazing, and then that sensation of jealousy comes then instead it's like, oh, thank you for that message, because now I have a clear picture of what it is that I desire to embody.
See, I used to look at it as like, oh, she's that, I don't want to try to be that, so I'm just accept that I'm not that. Whereas you're saying you can have any of that. Like if you want to, if there's some freedom in that person that you don't have at the moment, I get an opportunity to find it in myself to have that freedom.
And it's, you know, there's no like always situation.
Yes.
Like maybe there are going to be times when it's like linked to a different type of jealousy from childhood or programming or something like that, or scarcity. But often it's saying like, oh, this person's doing this. It's actually something that I really want and that I'm disowning or that I haven't been able to cultivate yet in my space. So being thankful, like thank you for allowing me to see those places that I'm desiring to shine more and step into. Or thank you for highlighting the space that I'm abandoning myself and disowning these parts of myself. And then I also desire to speak into briefly as well, because you gave the specific example of like in a partnership, like feeling jealous of another person. Okay. So if you are a feminine being, a woman, or just someone who's femme-identifying, and if you are in relationship with a masculine being, a man, or someone who runs a lot of masculine energy, quick little like discernment there. When we talk about feminine energy, the energy is like open, receptive, willing, like receiving, creative, artistic, all of that. It's like if it had an embodiment, it would be like, When we think of masculine, it's this penetrative, it's force, it's out there, it's get shit done, it's goal oriented. So it's not necessarily
it's not so flowy. It's like
exactly, yeah, it's like rigid, feminine,
direct.
Circular, yonic, masculine, like
Yeah.
phallic and penetrative.
yeah.
And so it's not necessarily linked to what physical anatomy you have, or if you identify as a man or a woman, though we might often use those terms. It's what energy you run predominantly. So if you are a feminine being who is choosing to be with a masculine being, especially if it's a man who's like running a lot of testosterone, knowing that just part of life is that he is going to be drawn, if it's a true like embodied masculine man, to any feminine essence that he sees. And that isn't necessarily a woman, that's just things like, art, that's a sensation, that's a place.
A beautiful mountain, a view,
that
anything.
offers that feminine essence, because that is the polarizing factor, the medicine for the masculine. And the thing is that happens with women too. So if you're choosing to be with a masculine man, a masculine being, knowing that it's just the normal thing within him that he's going to choose to be drawn and like notice that and appreciate it. And it can actually benefit you, because that turn on that if you're in a monogamous relationship, that turn on that he feels from someone else doesn't need to be acted upon. If he's a man of integrity and honoring your agreements, then he just gets to choose
it and turn
put
it
it
to
back.
you.
And same thing with us, like when we feel lit up and turned on, like, so many people have a hobby that they love, like social dancing, which is super turned on and sexy, and you're close to other people's bodies. And if you're choosing to go and you might be dancing with these like amazing men who are moving your body and turning you on and all of that essence, does that mean that you have to, like go and engage with them? No, of course not. You can actually choose to bring that back into your union, just like your partner can choose to do the same when he is turned on or they are turned on by the feminine.
Yeah, I love that. So it doesn't mean that, so I used to take it personally, but you've totally just opened my mind to that, because I would take that personally that my partner would be
It's like not enough.
really, really turned on over there, and then I'd feel inadequate because, it was a control issue too, of like, I don't want you to be turned on over there because I want, it's the not enough feeling, right? And I've been working through that for a while now, but I love the way that you said it, which is like, that's totally natural and okay, providing if he's honorable and respectful, he won't act on it, and he'll just bring that in to you.
Yes, exactly.
And share it with,
exactly.
I like that.
And noticing and knowing as well that it actually benefits your relationship, because if you say that you desire to be with a masculine partner, a masculine man, but you try and shut down and control and have a vice grip on his manhood,
A masculine man,
then guess who is not going to be masculine anymore? And guess who is going to have to take over that masculine role? You.
And
then
you can't have your cake
and then
and eat
if
it
you're
too.
a truly like feminine woman or being who desires to be in that receptive space, who desires to have someone really directing the ship more of the relationship, then you're going to be bitter and resentful that you're doing it while trying to control his manhood as well. So it's that trust, that, forgiving. And of course, like there's still some that comes up. But for me personally, knowing that has been such medicine. Like it's got
knowing the fact that they're going to always have the
yes,
attraction,
knowing that,
chemistry.
and knowing that is actually a key piece of what I actually love. Because for me personally, with men, like I love like high masculine, aligned, like conscious men, and that also means that I'm signing up for someone who has
appreciates
that polarity
and
with
loves
feminine.
Yes,
And it's just such a there's a whole other topic that I could go into with all of that too, but it's like the recognition that it's perfectly natural, it's perfectly normal, rooting into the safety of your container, the trust in your beloved and your partnership. And if that's a real rooted foundational piece that you aren't able to trust your partner, then that's a whole other issue to look at. Like that's a whole other topic entirely. Why you're choosing this and like who you're choosing as a partner.
How do you, let's say your beloved is, there's someone that's really, really attractive to him, and you can see they have a chemistry and a thing, and you know that he's not going to act on it because he's loyal, but how do you handle yourself in that moment?
Okay, so there's different tools that you can use. Coming back into your own sovereignty and your own essence. So closing your eyes, breathing for a minute, feeling the sensations. If you're out in a public environment, that's kind of what you might get to do, is like just feel within, like breathe through it, witness it, notice where it is in your body, like where do you feel this? identify like, oh, does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Is it moving? Like, is it, you know, is it opaque or is it solid? Like getting super clear on that sensorial experience that's arising for you.
Yeah.
If you're in private, then there's a lot more opportunity. Like, feel it all. Like, go and take your space and like yell into a pillow, cry, process, notice the wounds that are coming up, you know, notice the parts of you that are scared, like thinking that you're not that you're not enough, noticing all of that. And then once you've come into that sovereign space and really like, you know, programmed in, respecting your partner, like, I honor you, I trust you, like, you know, even not saying it directly to them if they're literally talking to another person in that moment, but like in your mind, like, I trust you, I trust our relationship, I trust our boundaries and agreements. I honor your attraction to other people. I know that does not take away anything from us or our relationship. I know it does not make you love me less. And in fact, not being controlling about this actually allows you to respect and honor and cherish me and love me more and be more attracted to me, because that's the irony of it. Then if that stuff is still coming up, then like creating this really safe and non-triggered space for you to share with your partner what's arising. And also, as like the feminine, if you're engaging with this masculine partner again, knowing that they have a tendency to solve things. So really like clarifying before, like, I just need to be heard right now. Like, cause maybe that's it. Like maybe you just want to be heard out and there's not really a solution for it that they can do. Or maybe it's coming like, just your own stuff that's or maybe coming it's up. Like, can you remind me of like our agreements?
Reassure.
Like remind me of like the safety that we have, like, you know, like tell me everything's gonna be okay, and like asking for that need to be met too. So both doing the work and then also being willing to meet your partner in vulnerability.
And respecting where they're at.
Yes.
Well, first of all, is there anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up with everyone that
let's see.
you feel called to share?
Oh, wow. Really just, you know, an appreciation and a recognition for you doing the work. I know that this is not easy stuff. It's a lot that we get to deprogram and navigate and handle and all of this. And I'm in it myself too, you know, like I'm still doing the work. It might be like a couple steps ahead or a little bit further on this specific path. But it's still like the work, the process. So I really honor you for going there. And then my invitation is, if you feel drawn to connect further, you're welcome to reach out to me.
Where can we find you?
You can find me. So I do have a website. I won't say I poured that much into it, but it is soulfulvessel.com. I pour mostly into my social media, which is Andrea E. Nicholas on Facebook, and then on Instagram, Andrea.e.Nicholas. And I have a variety of courses, mostly geared towards women. I have my orgasmic activation salon. It's presently closed.
Guys, we'll have to go to that. Let's all go.
Yes, come. We'll just have a group. Next one that launches. I have a course coming up for women around embodiment, femininity, and orgasmicness.
Wonderful.
So that's going to be a juicy one. And then also, you know, immersive experiences. I have a whole international like tour schedule, if you will. So you can check online for that and see when I'll be in your area if you're desiring one-on-one or immersion or all of that goodness.
That was awesome. Thanks guys for watching another episode, and we will see you next Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed it.